Welcome back to PA the FI Way. I first want to take a moment to welcome all new listeners, subscribers to the show, whether on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube as well. Over the past weekend, I am so honored to be invited to MAPA, Minnesota Academy of PA's first student and new grad summit. And I was able to give a presentation about personal finances as well as financial independence, money 101 for new grads and PA students. And it was such a fun event. So some of you might be joining me from that event. And I want to say a huge congrats on taking some initial first steps towards financial independence and building your wealth, getting your debt paid off, getting your investments going, building your emergency fund, all of those things that we talked about. It was also a huge highlight to meet one of the longtime listeners, and she's now a new grad. We talked a little bit about her student loans and looking for jobs and those types of things too. So huge shout out to Jocelyn. It was absolutely wonderful to meet you. And all of the PA students, it was so fun to be able to talk to you at my table as well, hear your stories, hear your money questions, as well as some of the anxieties and fears and stress that you hold and think about for money. Recognize that that's completely normal, and learning these things and learning these skills over time help alleviate those stressors. Action creates clarity, so one small step towards your financial independence journey is how you will get there and alleviate some of that stress over time as well. One of the questions that was asked was, what would be my number one piece of advice for PA students and new grads? And although I have so many things on that list that I would want to share, the number one thing that I would suggest as a new grad is to prevent lifestyle creep. Prevent that temptation to increase your spending just because your income increases, and especially as you're paying off student loan debt. It is absolutely one thing if you have all the financial room in the world, but when you are paying off your student loan debt, when you're building your emergency fund, when you're learning about investing, prevent that lifestyle creep from happening, especially quickly in medicine. Meaning you could have a few steps of lifestyle creep happen or let it happen gradually and slowly over time, not all of a sudden upgrading your cars for your whole household, upgrading a new house, upgrading all the new things that you've been holding off on buying over the years too. You might need to buy a new house or you might need to buy a new car, but do so in a financially responsible way. Do you really need a 4,000 square foot house? Do you really need a brand new car or lease a brand new car that is really expensive as well? Just ask yourself these questions when you're trying to figure out your finances, when you're learning what your monthly budget will look like, when you're starting to track your expenses over time. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the concept of status spending, essentially why new grads or those who are middle class and not quite wealthy enough feel like they need to spend money to look and feel wealthy over the years. This absolutely ties into lifestyle creep too. Those who try to spend their wealth and money on status, it's because they're trying to look wealthy and have that immediate gratification. Whereas those who build freedom wealth or stealth wealth, they can be more hidden with their wealth and their money isn't necessarily shown on the outside. It can be shown with the choices they're making. It can be shown in their investment accounts. It could be shown in a lot of ways. Maybe they're spending their funds on travel or spending their time with their family, spending their money on things like getting help around the home. Maybe they hire a cleaner to buy back their time. Maybe they're spending their money on a sabbatical and using that time and that freedom to do other things that they would rather do for a break for several months. And when you spend your funds on status, it can lead more to burnout because the more expensive your lifestyle is, the harder it is to cut back on hours. The harder it is to cut back on hours, the more trapped you feel in your roles. Whether or not you like your roles, you can feel trapped and that you have to keep showing up week in, week out, and not make any changes. Let's start by reviewing why PAs and other healthcare professionals are especially prone to wanting to spend their money on status. The first is delayed gratification fatigue. PAs have delayed gratification because PA programs are master's programs now. Some of them are doctorate programs. And you've been delaying your gratification, delaying your spending over the years because you've had so many years of education and you've had to live off of student loans for the most part if you don't have a lot of financial help from maybe your spouse or family members. New grads, especially, tend to feel like they have earned this real money and nice income for the first time in their lives, so they can feel like they deserve to spend their money on these things. The second reason is because there is often this identity shift. Many new grads go mentally from being a student to having to look and show up and act like a PA or other healthcare provider out there. So they feel like they need to show these status symbols or drive these cars or wear these nice things, have these luxury bags. And the next reason why a lot of healthcare professionals are very prone to this is because it can be a coping strategy for their burnout. For example, after a brutal shift or several 12-hour shifts in a row, they might be tempted to do lots of things like door dashing or Amazon purchases or going ahead and booking an impulsive trip where it just can feel good and fun in the moment and lead to regret later for spending their money on this trip. And maybe the trip wasn't even that fun or what they wanted to do in the first place. Short-term dopamine can lead to long-term pressure. So be mindful about all of the spending that you're doing. So now that we've reviewed why PAs and other healthcare professionals can fall into this trap so easily, let's talk about the 4 different types of feeling wealthy spending. The first type is identity spending. This means that you might feel like you need to spend to prove that you made it, that you are successful, and that you're not broke anymore. For example, maybe you're tempted to buy that luxury SUV that you've been eyeing over the years right after your first job, or move into the biggest house that you qualify for, or get a house with a pool or in this neighborhood that you've really wanted to move into right away. Remember, though, that all of those decisions have a hidden cost because it can make your time to financial independence a little bit longer, and it puts a lot of pressure on you initially to maintain that income or potentially earn more over the years too. And again, I'm absolutely not all about living a miserly life. I'm not all about eating ramen noodles, delaying all your gratification for many, many years to come, never spending on things and experiences that make you happy. That is not what I'm all about. I am just asking you to reflect every time. Is this purchase something that is bringing you one step closer to your goals? And that dials back a little bit. What are your goals actually? Are your goals to spend lots of money, look like you have nice things, perhaps feel stressed and pressured to work lots of shifts, maybe pick up overtime, those types of things? Or are your goals to pay off your student loans quickly? Or maybe you have other debt like credit card debt? Or maybe you have a car loan that you need to pay off that because it doesn't have a great interest rate? Or are your goals to aim to give yourself some bandwidth, some financial breathing room, and not feel that stress and pressure over the years to come? As a reminder, compound interest takes time to work. So the earlier you can invest your money, the sooner your wealth grows to the point that work becomes optional. So you might need to take some of your funds and instead of buying the things that you really want now, buy things that do the job, such as take you from A to B with a car, and put some of those other funds towards buying back time for your future self over the years. Besides identity spending, number 2 is emotional spending. This type of spending can happen so much in healthcare because you are often feeling like you're buying things or booking the trips to regulate your stress. I have worked with PAs that they buy impulsively on Amazon because that shopping experience makes them feel better. And even getting the things in their home, getting those boxes delivered makes them feel better. Again, ask yourself, will 2 weeks from now, will 4 weeks from now, will you even care that you bought that item? That's a great question to always be asking. Other examples of emotional spending could be that you're doing takeout several times a week, again, because maybe you feel like you're crunched for time or just completely emotionally exhausted and don't feel like you have time to cook for yourselves. Maybe you are not just doing online shopping, but other retail therapy. Maybe you are going to the store, going to malls. I know a lot of people don't shop in malls anymore, but maybe you like to go and try lots of clothes on and shop, and that makes you feel that hit of dopamine for that period of time. Maybe it's where you go spend a lot on nails or going to the spa or things like that. Again, not that any of those things are bad whatsoever, but if you're doing them to regulate your emotions and feel like you're de-stressing, ask yourself, are you wanting to keep adding more stress and not make wiser decisions with your finances? The next type of spending that some PAs do or other clinicians do to feel wealthy is comparison spending. That's because they want to keep up with their colleagues. Some of their colleagues might be other PAs. Ask yourself, have these PAs been practicing for several years and no longer have student loan debt if they are driving nice cars? Or maybe they're even trying to keep up with their physician colleagues. Again, physicians are often earning a fair amount more for their salaries. So you can feel like you're never going to keep up if you're trying to buy cars that look fancy like some of your physician colleagues. Or perhaps you are single and living on only your income and you're trying to keep up with someone who is married and they have a dual income with their household. Maybe you're trying to keep up with people that you're actually comparing yourself to online. Social media and other online areas, they are so notorious for feeling like you're just not keeping up in life. And that can lead you to feel like you're behind and make you feel more depressed and more anxious and more stressed. And the fourth type of spending that some do to feel like they are wealthy is convenience spending. Again, we talked a little bit about this already, but some people will pay for things like time or ease or outsourcing everything. Well, again, there is a lot to be said about those things when you are at a place to be able to buy back your time, when you are able to spend money for someone else to clean your house or take care of your yard if that's something that you don't want to do. But when it's putting you further into debt, just because it's convenient, that is not a good use of your money. So why does status spending actually keep you stuck? Again, I talk about how financial independence can be a tool to help treat and prevent burnout. It's not just the point at once you have reached financial independence that you get these benefits. It is your decisions and your path along the journey to financial independence that create the breathing room, that create the bandwidth to help you not be stuck on your way there. When you have higher fixed expenses every single month and you're seeing those bills, those payments, that lease amount, all of that coming out of your bank account every single month, that leads to less flexibility over the years. When you have less flexibility, you feel stuck and you are afraid of reducing hours or even job searching. You can stay stuck in those toxic jobs longer if you are in a toxic job. You will just become more and more burnt out when you are staying longer in those roles that aren't a good fit for you or that aren't serving you. So again, creating this runway, creating this bandwidth, that helps prevent you from being stuck, gives you the luxury to be more picky about jobs when you are job searching. Many PAs don't feel trapped because of their job. Instead, they feel trapped because their lifestyle requires that job. So how can you make changes? What are some practical things you can start implementing? Instead of status spending and spending to feel wealthy, by doing things like identity spending, emotional spending, comparison spending, or convenience spending. Always think about how you're doing value-based spending instead. As a reminder, what in the world is value-based spending? It is spending intentionally on those things and experiences that you value as a person, not what your family values, not what your friends value, not what your colleagues value. What do you value as a person? So the first step is to define what wealth actually means to you. Think about wealth. Again, you might initially think big houses, fancy cars, sports cars, convertibles, or designer bags, or being able to travel all over the world at the drop of a hat, or having a yacht, or all those things. But instead, think about what wealth actually looks like for you. Is it time? Is it time to be able to move at your own pace, to have slow mornings? Is it time to be able to have quality time with those meaningful in your life, such as your family, your friends, your significant other, all those people close to you? Does wealth actually look like having freedom and options? What about energy instead of feeling completely exhausted all the time? What about having a sense of peace and feeling as though you are spending your own money intentionally? You can physically write out, I feel wealthy when. Write out what that sentence looks like for you. Step 2, run a freedom filter. Again, this goes back to value-based spending. Before spending your money, ask yourself, is this increasing my freedom? Is this reducing my stress? Is this decreasing my burnout? Or is this adding to my monthly expenses and I won't actually feel much benefit of this? Step 3, you can redirect one status spending that you tend to do, one status expense. Instead of going towards that status, put it towards your future freedom. For example, if you refinance your debt and you get a lower interest rate, you can invest the difference. If you cut out one subscription every single month, you can take those funds and invest them or build up your emergency fund. If you are eating out 5 times a week, cut back to eating out 4 times a week to start. And again, use that money to pay off debt, build your emergency fund, invest, whatever your goals are at the time. As we wrap up here, this is a reminder that the wealthiest person in the room often does not look like they're the wealthiest person in the room. They choose to spend their money on things and experiences that they value. They're investing their funds. They are the one who could walk away tomorrow from their role if they wanted to. They could take a sabbatical if they want to. They have the option to retire early if they want to in the future. Those are the ones with true freedom and wealth. If you haven't already grabbed your free copy of my workbook, it's the Beginner's Guide to Being a PA on the Way to Financial Independence. You can grab that in the show notes, or I will link it here on YouTube as well. It has a lot of great information that helps you think about why you're wanting to pursue financial independence and some of those first steps that you can make. If this resonated with you, share with a colleague, share with a friend, share with your significant other. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can subscribe to the show here on YouTube. You can leave a comment for one change that you plan to implement this week. Thanks so much for joining me. The wealthier version of you in the future is thanking you, and I'll see you back here soon.